Hell nah, bro. Are you kidding me? Mark Spector, buddy. This is the Edmonton Meat coming out here again and doing their magic, because earlier this week we had ourselves an article published on Sportsnet.ca that, upon its publication, got a lot of Canucks fans up in arms, and not in a good way. Look, I get it, you can say, oh, Canucks fans have no class, Canucks fans are so sensitive, Canucks fans are this, Canucks fans are that. Luke Gazdic took all that to heart. He had the comments that he made a few days ago on that podcast, but now we had Mark Spector going out there and publishing this article, Why the Oilers Have the Canucks to Thank for Their Stanley Cup Final Berth. And before we dive too deep into this, firstly, I wanted to say that, yes, of course the Oilers have the Canucks to thank for making the Stanley Cup Finals. That's how hockey works. That's how a playoff bracket works. You beat the teams and then you advance. That is not rocket science to go out there and say, yeah, no, the Oilers, they have to thank the Vancouver Canucks for allowing them to beat them in order to make it this far. Okay, what an interesting way to kick off an article. But if you go out there and you read the rest of the piece, yeah, no, things get a lot more interesting. So without further ado, I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go ahead and read the rest of this yourself, but let's just go over a few of the basic ideas as to how the Vancouver Canucks relate to the Edmonton Oilers making the finals. Of course, it begins with the 8-1 opening night loss in Vancouver. It was a shellacking so thorough that when the cameras and microphones arrived in Edmonton's dressing room post-game, the only word defenseman Brett Kulak could find to describe was crap. There were a lot of things wrong with what we just saw out there, said then head coach Jay Woodcroft, who would last another month at the helm. You saw it, our players saw it, the coaches saw it, our management saw it. Not good enough. Spec then writes that the Canucks then beat the Oilers once again 4-3, Casey DeSmith with the win there. You go into the year with the expectation that you're one of the best teams in the league and you're going to the Stanley Cup Finals, said Oilers winger Zach Hyman. Then, all of a sudden, you're 12 games into the year, you're second last in the league, and it's like, what happened? What's going on? To be able to battle back from that spot, you build character, you build strength mentally, to be able to handle situations later in the year, whether you think at the time it will or not, it does. This year has felt like 10 years, to be honest. Thanks, Vancouver. Okay. So essentially what Spec is alluding to in this article, in my interpretation, it could be wrong, you can let me know your thoughts in the comments, is that because the Oilers got whipped so bad by the Vancouver Canucks to start out 23-24, it, in a way, kicked them into shape. And the team was able to get back on the horse and start stringing together wins and momentum because of the beating they had received at the hands of the Vancouver Canucks. Spec then goes out there and relates this to the 2024 series that the Canucks had, and look, he talks about it, brings up some of the comments, Ekholm, etc. He said, we've done a really good job at not being fragile in playoff series. We had an emotional, tough loss in Game 1 against Vancouver. We didn't let that linger. Those early lessons in the year help you with that. Playing Vancouver in the second round with all that hype, all that pressure, all the stuff going on, whether it was here or in Vancouver, Ekholm said, winning a series like that calms everything down. That's pretty much as intense as it can get. I'm sure it's going to get even more intense in the finals, but I do think we've built a calmness after that Vancouver series. Spec is saying once again that because Edmonton played the way they did against the Canucks, it translated to Dallas, where they ended up winning in 6 games, and now they have themselves this formula to help them against the Florida Panthers. Everyone was talking about how the Stars had better goaltending and they have better depth. Hyman said, well, the reason we won is because we had the better goaltending and we had the better depth. I think people underestimate the guys outside the guys who everybody thinks are the superstars. At the end of the article, Spec uses the Hyman quote, every playoff series you play, you gain experience, and then you're able to play in moments like Game 6 versus Dallas, when we're getting absolutely shelled, but we have a 2-1 win. Maybe another year we crack and they score, but not this year. These are the games that we had not won in the past. Spec then uses the final phrase of this article to say, thanks, Vancouver. And of course, I understand where Spec is coming from, where this point of the article is. He's saying that the Canucks and their beatdowns of the Oilers and their hard-nosed style in the second round allowed the Oilers to toughen up and string together momentum to win. That's essentially what the article is saying, but the way this is phrased, how this was put together, and the fact that an article like this even exists is so bizarre. I mean, a lot of the replies to this tweet promoting the article go out there and say, hey, like, I know Sportsnet has local writers from every Canadian NHL market on their payroll, so there are occasionally going to be some bias, but at this point, Mark Spector is just kind of trolling the Canucks, acting like a 16-year-old. What even is this, Tommy says. Another reply says, hey, why is Spector still talking about the Canucks? And then there's the coulda, woulda, shoulda game talked about after. If Demko was in net for game 6 and 7, he would have stole one of those games. Canucks clearly live rent-free. They have their own documentary now as well. Thanks for the input, meat. Ay. So this is kind of what we were talking about earlier, right? Like, I feel like even though Canucks fans were so nasty, I'm going to say nasty, because I recognize there are a lot of nasty Canucks fans, but even though there were some vocal minority Canucks fans that were just absolutely nasty towards Edmonton, the city, fans, journalists, etc., I feel like Oilers media is taking this a little bit too hard. I don't know. Like, something tells me that this Mark Spector article would not have been written had Canucks fans not been as snobby and snarky as they had been this entire year and in the playoff series, especially when they were up 3-2 against Edmonton in the second round. You won't see Mark Spector writing an article about how the Dallas Stars helped the Edmonton Oilers win the Stanley Cup and how they should be a parent to this entire story. That's the phrasing they used in the tweet. The Canucks could be a surrogate parent to the Oilers and their cup chances. Like, how weird is that? If Canucks fans were not as brash and engaging on social media as they have been, I don't think this article gets made. I think it's partly because Vancouver is snarky at times that this is even being said, and it's why you had Luke Gazdic going out there and saying that on the podcast that he said the other day, calling Canucks fans a joke, calling the team a joke, and saying that we dusted the Canucks. We, not the Oilers. He said we, and then he cut himself off. He said, oh, the Oilers. He was referring to we at the beginning. So, yeah, am I adding fuel to the fire by making this video? Of course I am. But I'm trying to represent my guys here, man. Everybody's talking about this on my Twitter timeline. I thought I'd talk about it too in a video, so let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the idea that the Vancouver Canucks could be a surrogate parent to the Edmonton Oilers should they win the Stanley Cup in 2024. Do the Oilers have to thank Vancouver for their playoff success and potentially winning the cup? Is it Vancouver's responsibility to baby the Oilers and to give them whatever they need to become better? What a bizarre article. It's going to be linked in the description if you want to read more about it yourself. There's a lot in there that we didn't talk about in this video. I just wanted to go over the quotes and the main thesis that Spec provides, but yeah. Any extra things you can add to this? How else did the Vancouver Canucks help out the Oilers? Oh yeah, you know how they helped them. They helped them out by being injured. They helped him out by getting a blood clot. They helped him out by having Thatcher Demko blow his knee out. Like, that's how the Canucks helped the Edmonton Oilers, right? Right? Ay. I don't even know how I feel about this. This is so odd. Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.